Okay.
Yeah. Because it's both like a summer and winter. I mean, I guess Korea is as well, but like, yeah, just the Alps, there's, you got
Korea has seasons.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destination, tips, advice, and more. I'm Kat.
I'm Chris.
And this is episode number 196.
It's been a while.
It has been. It's been like...
Welcome home.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I just got back from my France trip with my parents. So we went to Paris, and then we stayed in Strasbourg and Colmar before ending in Frankfurt to fly home. But
yeah, I was going to say, you dogged Germany there.
No, well, we only spent like a couple days in Germany.
The bulk of it was in France.
The bulk of it was in France, particularly the Alsace. And even though we stayed in Strasbourg, we did a wine tour of the Alsace one day. We went to Aubernay one day. And then we also, when we were in Colmar, we did the Christmas shuttle from Colmar and got to visit Kiersberg, Ricquever, and Rebovlay.
So we're going to be talking all about all of these places.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Christmas markets and taking all that stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about them in far more detail, but maybe a little teaser. What was your favorite stop on this trip?
Aubernay, which I think a lot of people don't necessarily always think of that. Because I know Rebovlay gets a lot of attention for having the big medieval market. Obviously, Strasbourg is wonderful. Colmar is wonderful. But Aubernay, it's a smaller town. You can easily get to it via train from Strasbourg. And if you go during the week, it's not crowded at all. It's a charming town. There's little markets all over the town. There's a beautiful church with nativity scene setups from around the world. And it's just a really cute town. Lots of great stuff. Lots of local products, as well as local crafts and food and drinks and things like that. So we really enjoyed our time in Aubernay. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear more about it. I'm this is something weird, but normally when you will come home from a trip, sometimes we'll just kind of talk about it, but there isn't necessarily okay, this was the first day and here's what we did and here are some pictures. We haven't had the chance to do that yet.
Well, and it's been busy since we've gotten home. I kind of jumped right back into work and then we were gone this weekend and
yeah,
we're finally home and kind of settled here for a little bit until next month. So it's kind of good to be at home. But yeah, what was your highlight of the last couple weeks?
Well, was that trip your highlight, I'm guessing? Was Aubernay the highlight?
I will say that honestly watching my parents really find joy in the Christmas markets was a big highlight. I mean, it was great to have my dad be I'm not thinking of anything back home right now because he owns his own business. He he's got a lot on his plate responsibility wise. And he was just I'm so relaxed. And ironically, this is one of the most relaxing trips. And they've been on cruises and beach vacations. And for whatever reason, because I handled all the logistics and stuff like that. But they were there's just so much to do and see that it's sort of relaxing because you're not thinking about the stresses of, your everyday life back home. And mom just loves any and all things Christmas. So going to the markets just made her day or made her month and year. So, yeah. And then also Friendsgiving with my friends this past weekend was a highlight. But what about you?
Yeah, I would say I got to see my family while you were gone. I got together with a whole bunch of different friends. Really this past weekend was just wonderful. It started off on, not that the weekend started on Thursday night, but we got dinner with two of our good friends Thursday night. Absolutely killer food. And it was one of those dinners where we were just laughing throughout, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was happy. We were all joking around. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. So that was great. And then, that rolled right into this weekend. I don't think I have laughed this much in a long, long time over a 3-day stint.
Yes.
So it was a ton of fun. This was the second year in a row that we've gotten together with your friends from college and done kind of what did we call it today? The Global Gobbler, where each couple will make a dish.
The Global Gobblers.
The Global Gobblers. Each couple will make a dish from a different country. And I can't remember who came up with it. It was not us, but it was a great idea. And
well, we'd started it last year.
Yeah, I said this was the second year. Yeah. But that was a lot of fun. We made bunny chow from South Africa.
Yes, and I don't know if we've mentioned this on the podcast, but yeah, some of the food in South Africa, bunny chow doesn't actually have like rabbits in it, but it's just, I don't know why it's called that, but it's just a fun stew served in like sort of a bread bowl situation, and
Really good.
very, very good. It was delicious. So yeah,
All the food was really
a lot of good food.
So yeah, I would say just the time spent with family and friends was the highlight. Certainly not France advancing in the World Cup past England.
I mean, considering I have them winning the whole thing, and you had Brazil, which is no longer in the tournament, or World Cup.
Thank you. Yeah.
And
I know.
I now that I stand a chance of winning the bracket challenge, I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, yeah. All you need is for France to win one game.
One more game.
One game, and you have won.
Who are they playing?
Morocco.
Oh, okay.
The people's choice.
Okay. I mean, I definitely want to win, beat you. But, like, I think Morocco, that's really cool.
Yeah, it
they're
is.
doing so well. Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
I think I saw, I'm going to throw it out there. I think that they are the first African nation to advance to the semifinals in a World Cup.
I think they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
Which is awesome. I mean, now that my horse is out of that race, now that I have mathematically won, I believe, I think in our
based
in our
on points,
draft,
because I got Croatia in the wrong slot.
No. That is the bracket. I think you have a pretty good shot at winning the bracket. I think I have the draft of teams locked up. So yeah, now I'm on the Moroccan bandwagon here. Mm-hmm. I also wouldn't mind seeing Argentina win, but we'll go for there. Okay. Speaking of the World Cup, that was the inspiration for today's episode. So here's what we're going to do. Somewhat similar to our March Madness inspired episode of earlier from this year, where we kind of like picked random things from one of the travel books that we have, and we made a bracket, and we kind of debated and went through it. So similar style here. The World Cup starts with 8 separate groups of 4, 32 total teams. And from those groups, the top 2 teams will move on. So what we did is we looked at it not from a soccer powerhouse lens, but from a honeymoon lens or like a couples trip lens. I personally looked at it through a honeymoon lens.
Yeah, I think so.
So what we did is we saw each of the 4 teams in each group stage, and we were like, okay, which of those 2 countries would be the best honeymoon destination? And we ranked the top one as the first, the second one as the second, and then kind of filled out a corresponding World Cup bracket from there to crown our personal, this would be the top honeymoon destination out of these 32 countries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I explained it well?
I mean, I made the bracket, so I hope it made sense.
All
but
right.
Hopefully to you all this makes sense.
You're writing in random countries over there, and there we go. All righty. So from the first group, which is Group A, we have the following 4 countries: Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. Who is your top team? Not your top team. Which is your top honeymoon country from those 4?
Yes, and I just want to reiterate too. These are countries that were in the World Cup. Yeah,
correct.
That
Yeah,
we're
they're
doing
in
this
their
from.
group
I'm pretty
stage,
sure you
yes.
said that, but just to clarify.
All right.
My number 1 is Ecuador.
All right, my number 1 is also Ecuador.
Really?
So we won't.
You got
like,
Galapagos. You got Quito. You got Cotopaxi.
Yeah.
A lot of cool, like adventurous, fun, romantic, just bucket list worthy things to do as a couple. So if you're kind of an adventurous honeymooner, that seems like a perfect fit for you.
Which was your number 2?
2A, Netherlands.
Netherlands for me as well.
Yeah, I think that Amsterdam is always a very romantic city with its canals, and then if you go in the spring, there's the tulips, and there's all these other smaller cities in the Netherlands. It's just a beautiful place to go to together. So if you want to go to a fun city, Amsterdam, but also the Netherlands is just great. So,
All right.
yeah.
So Group B, the 4 nations are England, Iran, the United States, and Wales. Which of those is your top honeymoon destination?
The U.S.
I agree.
Yeah, I think
Either this is going to be a really
my
quick
gosh.
bracket,
Either
or
we're gonna just all agree
we're
on
gonna
everything.
have. I'm sure that we will differ
I
at some
think we
point.
will.
Yeah.
I think the U.S. I mean, when you have like every type of biosphere in the world or something, you've got Alaska, you've got Hawaii, there's Florida, there's exciting cities,
There's
and beaches,
there's
and
New
mountains,
England.
and New England.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. It's
An
a big
endless-
country. There's a lot
Yeah.
of states. There's a lot of cities. There's a lot to see and do based on whatever you're interested in. Whether you want to get off the grid and go hiking or city hop or see beautiful wonders like the Grand Canyon.
Beaches.
Go to some beautiful beaches. Like the U.S. has a lot to offer
It does.
as a honeymoon destination. So 100% the U.S. I put as number 1 here.
What about your number 2?
Number 2, England.
Same here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, England, again, you've got London, which is exciting, but there's, you've got the Lake District and the Cotswolds and just charming towns throughout. So
Nice road trip destination.
good road trip destination for sure. I think it's just a fun place to go to as a couple.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Group C. Maybe this is where we'll differ for the first time.
Okay.
You have Argentina, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. What is your top destination from here?
I feel like we're going to agree on some of these. Okay. I know.
I think we're going to agree
some groups
initially.
are going to be harder.
Yeah, I think we're going to agree initially, but I think as the bracket continues, I don't think we're going to agree.
Okay. Mexico's my first.
Okay, Argentina is my first.
Okay.
Your second?
Argentina is my second.
And Mexico is my second.
Yes.
So what, I will tell you what pushed Argentina ahead of Mexico for me.
Okay.
So, the U.S. was also my top country from Group B. Mm-hmm. And when I was kind of thinking about that, I'm like, man, Argentina, right? Like there's just so much diversity there that you can be offered on that trip, right?
Yeah.
So you have all of the different wine regions, always incredibly romantic. You have the city life opportunities, Buenos Aires,
which is a romantic
oh
city
my gosh,
on its own.
imagine tangoing in Buenos Aires on your honey, like that's fantastic. And then you have the Patagonia region, you have all of the different national
the edge of the
parks.
world, Ushuaia.
Yes. Iguazu Falls
Falls
is on the border of Brazil and Argentina. I mean,
you could trek in the Andes.
Yeah,
so it is a big country with a lot to do.
Exactly. So that, when I was thinking of between that and Mexico, just kind of like the diversity, the same lens that I was looking at the U.S. From in Group B, bumped Argentina above Mexico for me. But what flipped that for you? Why is Mexico the top?
I mean, certainly I chose Argentina as the second because of the reasons you just listed. But Mexico, I mean, it has quite a lot to offer too. Aside from, of course, the typical honeymoon destination where there's all-inclusive and beautiful beaches, there are gorgeous beaches, but you have lots of ruins. There are big cities. I mean, Mexico City with a lot to offer on its own. Fantastic food. Just all over. I mean, it's a great place for that. You have both the Atlantic and the Pacific beaches to explore, and just a lot of rich culture and heritage and food. And, you can go to the Yucatan on a road trip and see cenotes and some Mayan ruins and go to some fun islands and swim to your heart's content, or you can go to the other side of the country and just eat your way around. And I think it's a really cool country with a lot of potential for your honeymoon.
Awesome.
So that's what kind of set it apart for me. And it's easy to get to, but that's
assuming you're from
the U.S., which the
or
bulk of our
around
listeners
Mexico.
are. Yeah.
Awesome. Group D, and this one's pretty tough. France, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia.
I know this one.
Well, what was your top one here, France Voyager?
France.
There it is.
Again, I mean, Paris is always a popular spot. It's super romantic. But then you also have the south of France and the beaches, the cute small towns. I just love all the different things you can see and do in France. I mean, you can go explore the beaches of Normandy and also the small towns and the cider route and stuff. And you have the World War II history and things. And then you could go to the Alsace where you have Christmas markets if you want to go in the wintertime. There's Champagne. There's all these wine regions, Bordeaux, Burgundy. And then you have Provence with, again, more history and things. And if you want to get off the beaten path, the Pyrenees. Or if you want to go trekking in the Alps or going to cute alpine towns, you can do that too. So I think France offers a lot of bang for your buck, whether you want to ski, you want to see Christmas markets, you want to be on the beach, you want to enjoy vibrant cities and the food, of course, and the wine. Make it a really good destination to go for your honeymoon.
Wholeheartedly agree. Lots of opportunities. Plus, I mean, you said romantic. The most romantic city in the world.
The City of Lights.
Paris.
What about your number one?
My number one is also France.
Okay.
My number two from that group is Australia. Is that yours as well?
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, like you said, there's going to be some that are easier than others. Mm-hmm. Australia, again, thinking of it in a lens of just the vast opportunities there that there's something for everyone. Mm-hmm. Right, there's the cities, there's Sydney, there's again, like, fantastic wine regions. You have the Great Barrier Reef,
the Daintree Rainforest.
Yeah, you have Kangaroo Island. I mean,
Outback.
There's all types of stuff. So,
beaches, surfing, diving.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
I
kinds.
mean, really something for everyone there. Group E, and this, in my opinion, was the most difficult one.
Group E, yes.
So you have Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, and Japan. What was your top country from this group?
From E, Costa Rica.
Costa Rica for me as well.
Wow, okay. I mean, I think
and
Costa
now
Rica, again, offers everything.
I agree.
For, like, a nice, like, more tropical honeymoon. Beaches. There are a few all-inclusive resorts there, but there's the chance to get adventurous. There's zip lining. There's, propelling, whitewater rafting, learn to surf, some fantastic, phenomenal beaches, amazing wildlife. You're in one of the most biodiverse places in the world.
Yep.
Especially if you go down towards the Osa Peninsula. So lots of places to get off the beaten path, but also you've got hot springs and mountains and volcanoes and coffee. And I just think that there's so much to do for both a relaxing, fun, adventurous, and romantic honeymoon all around Costa Rica.
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
Now, this will be interesting. What was your second choice out of this? So you have Spain, Germany, or Japan?
Japan.
I put Japan too, and
Dang!
I am shocked at that.
It was tough. This was a tough one.
I was between, nothing against Germany. I was heavily debating between Spain and Japan, and I will tell you
I thought you were going to pick Spain.
Well, I was originally thinking about Spain because you have Barcelona, you have Madrid, again, wine lover, fantastic wine regions. You're right on the Mediterranean there. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about all of that, but what tipped it in Japan's favor for me is, and I have never been to Japan, you have never been to Japan.
But it's like next on my bucket list, I think.
Yeah, it's
Japan.
high up there for both of us. And talking to people who have gone to Japan, it is a bigger step outside of one's comfort zone, assuming that you have not been kind of exposed to it, like the faster pace and the technology and like just all of the different offerings. And that's why it beat out Spain and Germany to me as as someone who lives, I guess, in the Western world, right? Like we're within the United States. I think that would be really, really neat to have that experience.
Of like the fast-paced city of Tokyo, and it's a massive city.
Well, right, but also to have like that much of, I don't want to call it a leap of faith, but that was something on our honeymoon that I really appreciated in Southeast Asia. Neither one of us had ever been there. It was a big step for us, sort of thing, and it was an experience that I was really, really happy that we got to share together. And it wasn't necessarily as easy of a transition while traveling that I will say like some of the European destinations that we have visited.
Yeah, because it's different culturally than us.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think that would be an awesome culture to experience for the first time together and be looking back on a honeymoon and be like, man, that was a shared experience that we had for the first time as a married couple. And man, like what a stage to set for the rest of our lives.
Well, and I also think Japan, again, tons to offer.
Oh my gosh,
you
yes.
have mountains and skiing if you'd like to. Beautiful like areas to explore. I mean, there's that Deer Island. There's that monkey park where like you got monkeys chilling in their own like thermal baths in the mountains. Lots of great onsen spas and things to go and check out and relax together. But then you also have temples and lots of rich history, great art, amazing food. And then you also have very exciting cities. And the best part is that it's pretty easy to get around, especially the main island of Japan, the biggest island, because they have such a good high-speed train system. So it's pretty easy to see a lot of Japan in more of a limited time frame.
I wholeheartedly agree. All right, Group F, another difficult one in my opinion. Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia. What was your top pick coming out of this one?
Morocco.
Morocco for me as well.
Dang, we have so many. Well,
I mean, this is good, right? Travel styles.
Yeah.
Your number 2.
Well, I'm just Morocco. It's an exciting, beautiful
Hold on, Morocco
place.
was your number 1.
Yeah.
I said, what's your number 2 out of there?
My second is Canada.
Okay, my second is Belgium.
Okay, but I'll talk about Morocco a little bit.
Sure.
Again, lots to see and do, but it's a beautiful, colorful place. I mean, you go to the spice markets, the souks. There are the beautiful, beautiful riad hotels that I would love to stay in. You've got the desert, the chance to spend the night under the stars in the Sahara Desert. Just beautiful, gorgeous places to go see. Chefchaouen,
Fez Medina,
like these old cities. It just seems like a really fun, beautiful place to go visit together as a couple.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What made Canada win out over Belgium and Croatia? And I will actually tell you first, what made me choose Belgium over Canada or Croatia was the thought of spending an extended amount of time in Bruges.
Yeah.
It is such a picturesque, romantic town. And we went on a day trip to Bruges when we visited Belgium. And I was like, man, if like spending 3 days or something there, like right along the canals and really just, I mean, it's a smaller place. The pace would kind of slow down. I thought it was incredibly romantic to walk around in the evening. So just kind of that memory and that opportunity bumped Belgium above the other two for me. But what sold Canada to you?
I kind of picture Canada as a great place for kind of adventure lovers. I mean, you have a lot of great national parks to go visit. You have mountains both on the west coast and the eastern part. Lots of great wildlife. There's even some wine areas. You've got Niagara Falls, which is amazing. I personally love Quebec City. Such a cute city to go and visit. And you can even go in the winter for their big carnival. The chance to see polar bears in the wild if you go up to Churchill, Canada. Lots and lots of great Arctic stuff. If you want to go up to the Arctic from Canada, that's a great base. And then also just exciting cities like Toronto and Vancouver and things like that. But there's, I think that if you're definitely more of an adventurer, you want to be in the mountains or you want to explore lakes and things like that, I think Canada's a really, really great place to see that wildlife and enjoy the great outdoors.
Yeah. I agree. Mm-hmm. All right, Group G: Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. Number 1,
Switzerland.
Oh, okay. And number 2,
Brazil.
So I switched those. Why Switzerland over Brazil for you?
I just feel like Switzerland is a really good adventure capital. So again, if you're like an adventurous couple, lots and lots of great things to do, from skiing and snowboarding in the Alps to there's bungee jumping and all sorts of things. And then you also are in the mountains. I mean, you have some of the best mountains. I mean, they call it the Swiss Alps and everyone wants to go to the Swiss Alps. Beautiful valleys, lakes.
You learned how to ski in the Alps, right?
Okay, in France, but great cuisine because you have all this alpine food that you can enjoy. It's just a really cool place to go and visit. And of course, you've got like Bern, Lucerne, Geneva, just beautiful, beautiful cities that you can go and explore. But yeah, I think Switzerland is just a very dreamy, romantic place to go, whether you want to hole up in like a cabin or in a town in the Alps. or explore some fun cities that are also just romantic and beautiful and sometimes surrounded by like mountains and things. So
I hear you. But the reason that Brazil edged Switzerland for me out of this group was the thought of spending time in the Amazon and spending time on quite possibly the world's most famous beaches, right? You have that element of adventure. You have that element of relaxation. There's also, I mean, you have the cities like Rio, and we've talked about Iguazu Falls when we were talking about Argentina, but there's obviously the opportunity for that as well. But I think that Brazil offers kind of like a classic mix of maybe like honeymoon highlights, I would say. So that's why it bumped itself up ahead of Switzerland for me. But we're on our last group here, and then we'll kind of start going to the knockout stages. So Group H is Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and Korea. What was your number one?
Portugal.
Okay, Portugal was my number two. What beat out Portugal for you?
That was my number one.
I'm sorry, what?
Korea.
Korea was my number one. What edged Portugal over Korea for you?
I mean, I'll be honest. I know more about Portugal. I've visited Portugal for a little bit longer than I have Korea. We only did a long layover there. But Portugal, I mean, you've got amazing beaches all over the place. There are both hidden gems, but also, popular spots. I mean, there's Porto, you've got Lisbon, and yeah, then you have the Douro Valley, and just a lot of great opportunities to see some ancient, or not ancient, but some older architecture, and there's lots of history, great wine, and just wonderful food, and it's a great laid-back culture, so I really enjoy that.
I'm going to take two of your words there, wonderful food, and turn those on its head and say,
I'm
hey,
not
that's
saying
Korea.
Doesn't have that, but yeah.
Like you said, we only spent one day in Seoul on a long layover, and I was enthralled with it. I mean, the palaces, the city, like the seamless intersection between the modern aspects of the city with the older palaces, the mountains around. I just think that it would be a beautiful kind of area to spend. And then also, this is, I mean, it's I wouldn't want to say that it's like a romantic thing, but the opportunity to visit the DMZ, for whatever reason, I know that that's probably not like a honeymoon sort of like that's not popping to your head, right? But I do think that would be somewhat of a unique experience. So that was also there. But so
you've got like Jeju Island, and
there's
a lot of cool things to see and do around Korea and Seoul. I mean, Seoul is just a very
Seoul
big
was
city. Great shopping.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the fashion there, I still can't get over. Everyone was like so chic.
And here we are off of one of the longest flights of
terrible.
our life.
Oh my gosh, I was like a little grease ball, and like everyone just looks fabulous everywhere. And but yeah, just a beautiful city, and it made me curious to want to explore more of Seoul and Korea.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we are in the knockout stages, and I've been keeping track of where we had some differences. This was the same for us. We had Ecuador versus England at this part of the bracket. And do you have Ecuador or England advancing?
Ecuador.
I have Ecuador as well.
It's hard to beat the Galapagos. You know what I mean?
I mean, Cotopaxi, everything that you mentioned at first, edges that out for me. Okay, so
I believe you can also visit the Amazon in Ecuador.
You can
as well. So
yeah,
a lot of opportunity.
In Ecuador. So you had Mexico versus Australia. I have Argentina versus Australia. Did Australia advance for either of us?
No, I had Mexico.
I have Argentina advancing there.
As much as like Australia would be amazing, Mexico, I just think the beaches, the food, the culture, the history, just so much to see and do would be really cool to go see for your honeymoon.
So Argentina beat out Australia for a lot of the reasons that I talked about earlier. Buenos Aires, the opportunity to spend some time there, the hiking, the wine, the everything, right? So that was the reasoning for me as well. Kind of personal preference there, I guess.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Again, this is all just our opinion. So.
These are facts. But yes, alrighty. So then we each had Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
I have them facing off against Belgium. You have them facing off against Canada. We both loved Costa Rica. We were there at this time last year. Just an incredibly romantic country. That was such a nice vacation. Like we think about that trip as just like the perfect mix of adventure and relaxation.
Yeah, we went ziplining. We went to hot springs. We hiked. We did some hiking in Piedras Blancas National Park.
But we also
Stayed in the
spent
Osa.
2 very relaxing days.
Yes, and
on a coffee farm. Yeah.
where we went bird watching and drank coffee and went on a coffee tour. And,
Pampered.
yeah.
Did Costa Rica move on for you?
Yeah.
It
Costa
moved on
Rica,
for me
it was
as well.
big. I mean, because even the places that we haven't gone to, I mean, my goodness, you have the whole Nicoya Peninsula. You have Limon, like the Caribbean side of Costa Rica.
Sure.
I would love to go see Monteverde. So that's the cloud forest area.
Yeah.
It would be pretty sweet to see those things.
I agree.
Again, lots to do, whether you want to relax and pamper yourself or get adventurous.
All right. So the last part of, or the last 2 teams in this side of the bracket, I had Brazil and Portugal, and I advanced Brazil. You had Switzerland and Korea. Which team advanced for you?
I did Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's
Okay.
both like a summer and winter. I mean, not. I guess Korea is as well, but like, yeah, just the Alps. There's, you know, you
Yeah,
got
Korea has seasons.
Okay. That's not what I meant. No, but like the Alps are always very popular for whether you want to go skiing in the winter, hiking in the summer, alpine lakes, lots of natural beauty in a very small place. So I think that would be pretty cool for your
All right.
honeymoon. Yeah.
All right. I picked Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Again, thinking of kind of that combination of the Amazon and the beaches. Right, I think that's kind of a great little combo that they're rocking down there in Brazil. So that bumped it over Portugal for me. All right, on your bracket is Ecuador versus Mexico. Who?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is up at the top. You had Ecuador beat. I'm
sorry. I thought we were continuing on with the others.
No. I'm covering this side of the bracket first, so we have
Gotcha.
we have one contender, and then we'll let the other 8
Gotcha.
fight it out on the other
so
side.
now we're fighting against Ecuador and Mexico, and then
Not fighting.
Not
We're trying to
fighting.
decide between which would be a more romantic honeymoon destination.
just
I don't
duking it
like,
out.
I don't like to view that as a fight. Ecuador versus Mexico for you.
I said Mexico.
Okay. I had Ecuador versus Argentina, and I chose Argentina.
Okay.
What stopped Ecuador's run here in the bracket?
I don't know. I mean, because Ecuador, again, that's really tough. You've got the Amazon, you've got the Galapagos, you've got Quito, you've got Cotopaxi. There's a lot to do in a pretty small area of land relatively, you know? But Mexico, again, there's a lot. There are mountains. There are beautiful beaches. You have lots of great like Aztec and Mayan and fantastic museums and Mexico City and some exciting cities and towns and beaches and food and all the things. Yeah. I think if you want to get into nature, you can. If you want to be all cosmopolitan, you can. I don't know. There's a lot to see. I don't know. I just think that there's a lot to see and do in and around Mexico, whether you want to be relaxed and do nothing on a beach or if you really want to get into it and do a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I chose Argentina over Ecuador because while Ecuador offers a lot of that adventure and that sort of thing and the wildlife, I do know that relaxation is an important part of a honeymoon, right? We had that when we were on Colipe in Thailand, and I was thinking between Ecuador and Argentina, for me, spending some time in wine country would be incredibly relaxing. I was kind of equating that to
I'd still love to do that, like a quick 5-day. We just fly down, head to Mendoza, and stay there for 5 days.
Well, twist my arm.
Yeah, right.
But that was the reason that Argentina advanced over Ecuador for me. So then you have Costa Rica versus Switzerland. Anything touching Costa Rica here, or is it marching on through?
Costa Rica's marching on through. Nothing
Costa
against
Rica,
Switzerland.
yeah.
Costa Rica just, again, packs a punch for a pretty small country that's pretty easy to get around.
Costa Rica marched right past Brazil for me as well.
I know. It's tough. Costa Rica, I mean, good place. Great place to go.
Great place to go.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So now you have Mexico versus Costa Rica. I have Argentina versus Costa Rica.
Costa Rica's blitz and pass for me on this one, too.
Was it close for you?
Yeah, but like I think again, Costa Rica, you got the biodiversity and all of the wildlife. I just think that's incredible. The great hiking opportunities. You have cloud forests, you have coffee, you've got the amazing beaches. Not to say that Mexico doesn't have like those things too, but I just I think it's the wildlife is definitely cool. And again, like where we stayed at near the Osa Peninsula and having a beach to ourselves was pretty phenomenal, but yeah, again, the wildlife. I mean, we took a cruise around the Golfo Dulce and didn't see anyone else and saw plenty of wildlife both in and out of the water. And
yeah,
just a fantastic place, just overall, depending on what you want to do.
I loved Costa Rica.
Yeah.
But they did not march past Argentina for
Oh,
me.
no.
Yeah. And here's why. This one was tough for me. The reason why I picked Argentina, and granted, we did not spend a lot of time within metropolitan areas of Costa Rica, and I have never been within the metropolitan areas of Argentina. But, and maybe this is my own fault here, I'm kind of building up Buenos Aires a little bit. And I'm building up that whole vibe and energy and like the dancing and the dinners and all of that kind of stuff. And maybe that falls flat on its face when I actually experience it.
Yeah. No, I think it's...
But...
I mean, it has a reputation for being a beautiful, like romantic, fun destination. So
that coupled with everything that both of us have talked about with Argentina... really, and I'm not a huge city person, but the opportunity for the city kind of bumped that ahead of Costa Rica for me. Mm-hmm. And now I have Argentina advancing out of that side of the bracket. You have Costa Rica advancing outside of that part of the bracket, and you were worried that we were going to agree on everything. Alrighty. Going to the other side, we both had the U.S. versus the Netherlands. Which red, white, and blue are you siding with here?
I'm going to go with the U.S. again. A lot more to do and see. Nothing against the Netherlands
take
again.
That, Netherlands.
No, it's just, again, the U.S., it's hard because the U.S. is such a big country with
a lot of
diversity. Whether you want to do the national parks, hang out in the wilderness, see wildlife, go to beaches, cities.
Yep.
Food, cuisine, cultures change state by state, sometimes city by city. There's a lot to do. So it's really, really hard to kind of...
The U.S. advanced for me as well.
Yeah.
France, we both advanced. You advanced Argentina. I advanced Mexico. France Voyager, what do you say?
It was France, yeah.
It was France for me as well over Mexico. And really, I mean, for everything that you said, but also the energy of Paris was what kind of sold me on that. All right. We both had Morocco versus Japan. Now, this is not only is this, I don't want to say surprising for us, but this was not a matchup that I would have expected both of us to have, especially with such heavy hitters in each of those from like a travel destination, and especially a romantic travel destination. Did Morocco or Japan edge the other one out for you?
I put Japan.
Ooh, I put Morocco. Now, why Japan for you?
Personally, it's a little bit higher up on my bucket list.
And that is
crazy. I do want to go to Morocco.
Rewind 3 years, though?
For sure want to go to Morocco. But I think, I really, really want to see Japan and explore that that culture and the cuisine and the beautiful like temples and nature and just everything about it. Sounds fantastic, and I really want to experience that. But I just think it's a very romantic place to go to together. Not that Morocco isn't, but again, all of these are great places. That's why it's like, all these places we've ranked here.
Right.
But yeah, I just think Japan sort of edged it out just a little bit for me. What about you and Morocco?
So Morocco took the cake here for me because one thing that I always love when we have the opportunity to travel together is when everything slows down, when you can't really like connect with anything but each other, right? And something that you said earlier was the camping in the Sahara, the spending the night in the Sahara. Like, I mean, I can't even imagine looking up, seeing all the stars, like just like looking around. There's nothing really around, like that sort of just tranquility and the pace having slowed that much in that type of environment. I went for the twinkling lights of Morocco other than the twinkling lights of Japan.
Okay.
I had Korea versus Switzerland down here, and you had Portugal versus Brazil.
Yeah, we kind of swapped our like 1G, 2H, and 1H, 2G.
We did, yes. So Brazil marched past for me on the Brazil-Portugal matchup. Did it for you as well?
No, I have Portugal.
Portugal, okay.
Yeah.
So, and then Switzerland marched past Korea for you, and I have Korea winning down here. So it was close for me again. But yeah, there was something about Korea that I think is it just kind of offers so much, and maybe at least in my mind, slightly more of a wider array of opportunity or a wider array of attraction than Switzerland. But how did Portugal edge out Brazil for you?
I don't know. I mean, I think Portugal is a small country with a lot to offer. Again, you've got cuisine and culture and, beautiful beaches, very easy to get to. It is being a smaller country that packs a punch. You can see and do a lot in a very little amount of time because it's pretty easy to get around. And yeah, I mean, you could hang out in Porto and then Lisbon and head down to the beaches in the south and
there you go.
Just do it all, and it's a lovely place. I really enjoyed Portugal. Yeah.
All right, so going back up then, we both have the U.S. versus France. Again, red, white, and blue. For me, it was the U.S.
I chose the U.S. too.
Wow.
I knew you were going to be surprised.
I am surprised.
I mean, again, I think
the
U.S.
for
has
the
a
reasons,
lot. It's
yeah.
so big. It has so much to offer,
Yeah.
And I think especially like we live in the U.S. A lot of people that listen to this are based in the U.S. as well. I feel like sometimes we forget how much this country has as far as like nature, beauty, cities, food. Like we have a lot of things that we sometimes forget to think about. And we're like, let's go visit and explore all these other places around the world.
Right.
Which are great. But it's also kind of cool to explore our own country. There's a lot to see and do. And I think COVID actually helped me at least discover and like learn more about the U.S. and travel more in the U.S.
Yeah, I was going to say
that.
Because I think a lot of the times when we're thinking, hey, we want to take a vacation, we're immediately thinking outside the borders. When, like you said, there's just so much to do here that we have to rein that in a bit. The U.S. beat France for me here as well, for the same exact reasons that you were talking. I have Morocco versus Korea. You have Japan versus Portugal. Who's moving on for you?
Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Morocco is moving on for me. Again, thinking between Morocco and Korea for me, it's just that image.
You really just want to spend the night under the Saharan stars.
You know what?
That honestly, like that's a huge draw for me going to Morocco is wanting to do that. And I also really want to see Fez and Marrakesh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But spending the night under the
oh my gosh,
under the stars. I mean, you're in a tent, but like, I bet you see some beautiful,
not if you don't want to be
stars out in the desert.
Yeah. What edged Japan over Portugal for you?
Again, I mean, it is kind of a fun mix between like fast-paced city of Tokyo or Kyoto and stuff, but also beautiful nature and lots of
makes sense.
Lots of really cool places to go and to relax together as well.
All
Whether
right,
you go to an onsen or go to the mountains or something like that. Yeah.
Agreed. Alrighty. You have the U.S. versus Japan. I have the U.S. versus Morocco. Does Japan continue for you?
No, I still pick the U.S.
Morocco does not continue for me either.
U.S. Honestly,
the U.S.
Guys, there's a lot. This country's got a lot. It's pretty cool.
Alrighty. So now this is going to be interesting. So the U.S. came out of that side of the bracket for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is the final matchup
Yeah.
of the official World Cup honeymoon destination travel bracket. You have the U.S. versus Costa Rica.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
I have the U.S. versus Argentina.
Ooh. Okay.
Who do you want to go first?
I can go first.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
I think you're going to say the U.S.
I did. Did you pick the U.S. too?
I picked Argentina.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was like, oh my gosh, we agreed on it. Again, like it's just what I've been saying all along. And this was tough because I was like, man, Costa Rica packs a punch, and in a small country, it's got a lot of amazing, amazing things, which is why it's like in the final here for me. I absolutely fell in love with Costa Rica. I would 100% go back to Costa Rica. I would do that trip over again and or even just explore new places. But again, the U.S., it has a lot. I mean, if you want to go beaches, crystal clear, beautiful beaches, you can do that. If you want to hike, you can do that. I don't know, just the different regions, states, and cities across the entire country. Just
right. Now, naturally,
there's a lot to see and do.
You'd probably have to limit that down for a honeymoon, depending on how long you have. But
I mean, you could pick a state. Like if you could do California,
Ohio,
Hawaii. Okay, Ohio.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Boasting a national park over here, Kathy.
Okay.
I have Argentina.
Okay, what made Argentina to be the overall winner?
I don't quite. It was almost kind of like a mental coin flip for me. But again, I think for me, like you said, knowing that most listeners are in the U.S., it's almost taking that step outside of your comfort zone, that you have that shared experience. And maybe like going to Alaska or going to Hawaii or going to a new state could also be outside your comfort zone. But this to me was just like a little bit of a bigger step where I'm like, I will never forget that first morning when we were both in Vietnam, where we were like, okay, this is going to be like, this is the first country that we have kind of, I mean, outside of Korea where we spent that one day, but like this was like the first full day we were going to be spending in a country as a married couple. And I'm like, okay, it was a big step for us. Right. So I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm like, I think Argentina would offer a little bit more of that kind of experience or mindset or what have you. And wine. Nothing against the U.S., but
yeah, I was going to say,
I mean,
some good wine there. No, but
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's tough. It's a tough call.
It is a tough call. Moral of the story, I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of these. As long as Argentina comes out on top.
The ones that we picked, I think you can't go wrong.
Agreed. Anything else you want to say?
I think that's it.
All right. And for me, only thing I have to say is, I wouldn't mind France losing to Morocco so that my bracket hopes can live.
Okay.
But anything other than that, I'm good.
And yeah, I mean, I'd love to know what you guys' favorite countries are, or if you're going to make this challenge for yourself. You can always reach us at Twitter at WWHoneymoon, Instagram at Worldwide Honeymoon, or email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.